Hello and welcome to Blades and Banners, a Tales of the Valiant actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world. It is Friday, and so we're here with an episode of the Ship's Log, our Q&A show, and we are joined by the ever wonderful Mia. Hi, Mia.
Hi, Philip. Hello, anyone listening?
So we have some viewer questions, but before we get to those, I'm curious. I wanted to sort of pick your brain a little bit. We talked last time about why a Gnoll and why a bard and things like that, but we've gotten to play a lot more, and so I'm curious what makes Sohaina a pirate, because on the face of it, she's an entertainer, she's a performer, she's not super comfortable with her violent side, which is fascinating and delightful. But I'm curious, what is it that draws Sohaina to this life?
I love this question, and I'm a bit bummed that the answer is extremely simple.
That's okay.
Okay, well, she grew up with it.
Yeah.
Her tribe that she was born into, this is what they are. They are pirate mercenary crews, and it's what she knows.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
what makes her so dedicated to Durga?
That is specifically the appeal of an authority figure for Sohaina. I think there is something about that. My imagining is that there was hierarchy
Mm-hmm.
in her clan, in her tribe, and that combined with the fact that she got left on this island to fend for herself and figure herself out. She is needing some sort of structure and direction, and a not a father figure, not a mother figure, and not even a role model, just someone to guide her, I think. I hadn't
Yeah.
really thought more than that, but she's like I think Lesh Durga is like a landmark
Oh, okay.
for Sohaina.
Cool. No, that's really interesting, and it's been interesting, like being Durga and not letting her turn into Thora,
Right.
um,
Right.
because of course, I mean, the dynamic of the crew is a lot different from the Strike Force. It's not this collection of sort of haphazard young people who've gone through this shared trauma together. Like, there's just a lot of differences, and so not letting Durga just sort of slip into the reluctant maternal figure
Right, right.
that Thora was, has been very interesting, and so it's been neat to see the reactions of the crew to Durga, and I don't know. There's just a lot of variety there that I'm excited to explore, um, their their reactions to her, because it's fairly straightforward that everybody in the crew, or at least it seems fairly obvious that everybody in the crew is at least to some degree intimidated by Durga.
Right.
Um, but I think Sohaina might be the only one who seems to really like Durga,
Right.
and I think that's interesting.
And
Um,
it's oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
On the other side of that is it is very interesting to be interacting with Durga and not having her um I want to say melt,
Mm,
but
hmm.
she's not interested in being social or creating a positive, um, friendly relationship. I don't think she's in no way mean, but she's all business, and playing a character who is naive to that, it can be very fun, but also difficult for me because me personally, I'm extremely hypervigilant in social
Mhm.
situations. And so I would never behave in the way that Sohaina does toward Durga. And just sort of keeping up that like puppy dog attempting to curry favor thing with Sohaina is interesting and fun to do
Yeah,
with Durga, who is it is irrelevant to Durga how we feel toward her,
right.
and I like it a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's very interesting. It is very fun to watch you play someone so seemingly off type,
Right. Right.
um, to the kind of character I would have imagined. Like, this was very different, and so that's been a lot of fun, um, seeing you play off type, and to dive into a character that is very different from you in a lot of ways, but also just very different from the sort of character stereotype that I think most people who've watched you or gotten to know you through the
Right.
internet would expect.
Right.
Uh, yeah.
And
So.
it wasn't when I think about it, I hadn't set out to do that. It
Hmm.
wasn't, I am specifically going to play this particular type of character. It was, I think it was Gnoll first,
Hmm.
and then Bard seemed interesting. And um, I don't know, it just came from having made those two choices and also trying to find a voice for Sahina. Well, I was working on that and I landed on something that was more timid. It all just sort of happened organically.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great because in like short games or one shots, I have found it relatively easy to play a character that's like way off type for me. But in any kind of long game, if I just set out with the goal of I'm going to be something different this time, or this is going to be the opposite of that last character I played, or something like that, that has never lasted or worked out for me. And so that makes a lot of sense. Is that the pieces just kind of fall together.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah.
And I love the idea. I love watching her lay who she is out in front of me. You know,
Hmm.
I don't know who she is. I have an idea of who she
Yeah.
is. But the more I hang out with her, the more I learn about her. And that is so much fun.
Yeah, no, that is a lot of the fun. I mean, well, it's a little bit like writing.
Yes.
Writing
Yes.
fiction is
Yeah.
the characters reveal themselves to you in ways that you don't expect,
Mhm.
and that's a lot of fun. And I think that's a lot of the fun for me about uh, longer form RPGs is that opportunity to discover things about the character that you didn't know,
Yeah.
and to watch your friends discover things about the character that they didn't know, and to discover the things about their characters, and all that stuff is just all of that. All of that's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So, well, we have a bunch of questions tonight from Josh and Emily. So, beginning with Josh, questions for Mia. As somebody new to longer campaigns in tabletop RPGs and now being in two, how are you finding it? What have been your favorite parts, and what's the most challenging?
Um I am first of all finding it amazing that I went from none to 2 campaigns. I feel very lucky and surprised. Um, and I would say it's very exciting, to be experiencing this collaborative storytelling. It's so interesting and fun, and I get excited to do it. I would say Oh, what are my favorite parts? Um, I think I'm really enjoying, how antsy I am to play again. You know, I really like,
Hmm.
I wanna take another bite of this character. I'm so excited to, like, "Ooh, I just figured out these spells and all of these other things that I can do, and when do I get to do this again? And I want more." And that's been awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, agonizing at the same time.
Hmm. Well, it's like waiting for the next episode of something to come out,
Yeah.
or finishing the next book in a series and the next one's not out yet. Like yeah, it is. It's you get that little Jones, you get Jones in for it.
Mhm. And so, I think the favorite parts, well, okay, to be honest, this sounds, I'm in my head, it sounds terrible. I love um, making the crew laugh.
Mhm.
If she's done something that catches the other players, if Sohaina has done something that catches the other players off guard and they laugh, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But I also love how much we can work together. I mean, I saw this with Kyber shards anyway, and just watching how the flow is so easy. There's not a lot of time where players think, "What am I going to say next?" I
Hmm.
think, and I really enjoy that. It feels natural, which is wild. And then the most challenging, I think, is still, learning the rules, learning the ins and outs, um, trying to make sure I'm not speaking too much, and, oh gosh, there was one other thing that I am extremely worried that my memory is gonna be, and I had just forgotten what I was gonna say, but that my memory is gonna get in the way of me following the storyline.
Mm,
I'm so scared that I'm gonna forget a character and forget why we're here and what was this house about again, and that I think is the most challenging.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Um, uh, then Josh asks, does running the watch party feel different compared to Kyber Shards now that you're a permanent member of the campaign?
Um, a little bit, but not a lot, because I still get excited to watch the episodes as they come out, on Monday nights, and there is some of that. I get curious to see how people will respond. I mean, I think that's natural, but I
Hmm.
think that's probably the only thing that's different.
Is your other game streamed also?
It is.
So
Uh,
you're not in any games that aren't streamed. You have no like
no.
offline games. That's fascinating. Okay.
Well, I do have one going, with Shiv. But
Hmm.
it's a play by
But
post
it's
in
on.
the Discord server. So
Yeah, and
there
so
is
it's still
it's still
public. Like
public.
it's
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. I've never not had since I started doing this. I've never not had a home game as well. And it is a very different experience
Is it?
when there's no audience. I'm not entirely sure how to describe what the difference is from for me at least because I don't feel less pressure as a GM because the pressure for me is all based on the players. Like the players are the audience that I'm thinking of when I'm working on stuff. And um so that's the same. But it is there is just a different I don't know, maybe it's a little more relaxed. Maybe it's just a little more casual. But the players I play with are still very in character. Like it's still
Right.
very very into it. So I don't know exactly what makes the difference, but it is nice. I'm gonna have to get you and Colin into a game that we don't record sometime because he's the same. It's the same for him. He's never played this without it being
Right.
permanently recorded. And
Right, right,
so
right.
I will say one big difference is um I worry more or I put more time thinking about consistency,
Oh,
uh,
sure.
and um, not flubbing things, and that's definitely a difference, in the recorded element of it. Is I will go back and make sure I've got all the things, all the things right, because it's not as easy to go, oh, I'm sorry, I meant, this other
Oh,
thing.
wow. Well, you cover for that very well because I would not have known that that was a concern for you. I've never like thought, that wasn't what it was, or it doesn't. It always seems like you know exactly what you want to have happening in your head at all times. I will, or one of the other players will say, I do this, and you immediately create a picture of what it was. The moment it leaves somebody else's mouth, you're already able to create the image of it, which is so impressive to me.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I have to say though that like just with the watch parties
Yeah.
and with being recorded, it does help with my memory issues because I can rewatch the episodes and
Hmm.
write stuff down, and that has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
uh, for me, voices, being able to go back and remember,
Right.
like, uh, we haven't gotten far enough into this campaign for me to have gone a long time without doing a voice, but being able to like go back and remember, what did I name that priest of the silver flame that Pog kept going and seeing, and what did he
Right.
sound like, when I'm expecting that. Although quite often Colin would just go see him without any warning, and so I was often just caught making it up again. But that kind of thing, that's a nice side of the recording. On the other
Yeah.
hand, in my home game, no one else is remembers either, and so
Right.
I don't get called out on it. But
Right.
that is nice about the recording, is being able to go back and remember how I did that voice, uh, and and reset for it. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm still in a place where I have to go back and re-listen to how I voiced Durga to try and find it again. Although that actress is now on the new season of The Wheel of Time, so I've got another show that
There you
she's in that
go.
I can listen to her talking.
Oh, she's
Um,
amazing.
and she says more fantasy things now, so that's useful.
It is. Oh my god.
um, she's spectacular in the third season of Wheel of Time, playing a I think a villain. I haven't read the books, so I'm working off the show, but seems that way so far.
Yeah, surprising absolutely no one.
Right. The next question from Josh: how is Aggie doing with life aboard ship? Does she get seasick?
She actually is used to this because I had her with me when I was with my old crew as well. So, nope. She just trots along. She's good to go. No seasickness. Just a lot of bashing.
Also, Aggie related: has your encounter with given you any thoughts about about trying to teach Aggie to speak, or can she already?
Do you know, I cannot believe that I had never thought of this until this question because in the other recorded game that I'm doing, I do have an animal companion who is a giant raccoon who absolutely speaks. Um and I never thought about Aggie being able to speak. It just uh, no, no is the answer. Like, it did not give me any thoughts about trying to teach Aggie to speak. She can't already, even though, Sohaina and Aggie understand each other. They
Of course.
communicate in the way, people and their pets communicate. But yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting to find out if we can make that happen. And what would
Yeah.
she sound like?
Right.
Yeah.
We'll just have to go back to rewatch The Land Before Time and find out what
Oh
an
my
ankylosaurus sounds
gosh.
like.
Yes, please. I can get my own green food, and I'm not afraid of the sharp tooth. Love Sarah so much.
Oh man. How is Sohaina feeling about the times when the others, mostly Finian and Orin, seem to be acting or responding based on unspoken subtext that Sohaina isn't aware of? Does she think they're reading too much into things?
Um, I think Sohaina is just soaking things in. I don't think she has, the self-preservation to not be blunt when she has questions or when something is odd to her. And so I don't know that she is. I think she's just accepting everything, taking it all in and accepting it for what it is, but she's noting, oh, like her big concern is how do people outside of Gnoll culture react or act or respond or communicate? So I think that's mainly where she is. I don't know that she is actively thinking they're reading too much into things. I think she'd be more thinking, "Oh, okay, I wouldn't have thought to do that. I guess that's the way this is done out here."
Hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what prompted you to take the College of Jest for your subclass?
Philip. Philip prompted me. No, Philip, had if you can see the way I dressed Sohaina, I was imagining her as trying to I dressed, her HeroForge has her in this, old school clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the 3 large buttons and the sort of pointed top and the large bow. It was just a very old school clown motif, and the idea was this is what she imagined an entertainer was supposed to dress like. Um, and because of that, when Philip was looking around, at I'm not sure, you were looking at some material and you found that subclass and shared it with me and said, "This is so funny, this made me think of Sohaina," and I read it and I was like, "Yep, that's what we're doing." So
Yeah, it's in Kobold Press has put out 3 books in a series called Campaign Builder, and this one's about court, like royal courts and noble courts and things like that. And so it had several subclasses that were kind of designed around being a courtier. And so you got the College of Jest for the Bard, um, which yeah has some really interesting abilities. The Celebrate Life ability is really killer. That
yeah.
lets other players spend hit dice. Like that's a really great support uh, support thing. I have been really enjoying watching Sohaina develop just mechanically because I don't know if I've ever seen someone genuinely play the bard as a support and control class. Everyone always tends to find a way to make the bard more offensive. You play it as a swashbuckler, or you play it in some other way that allows you to be a little bit more damagey, or maybe you play it as a healer. But it's been really cool to watch that Sohaina's spells have really been very much buffing and debuffing, and that's been really neat. It's a way that I think is kind of the core of what a bard is billed as, but it's not how I've usually seen bards end up being played, which is neat.
That's awesome to hear, and I think in that I had the benefit of not seeing many people play a bard
Hmm.
because of my lack of experience just with TTRPGs in general. So for me, I was reading just what the manual says a bard is
Yeah.
and not thinking beyond that and just thinking, "Oh, I like the idea of all of this, the entertainment as well as the support character."
Right. Yeah, I'm constitutionally incapable of playing characters that don't wield weapons. So it's very off style for the way that I like. If I have played a couple of bards, um, they're always fencers. Like it's always swashbuckling. Uh,
No boomerangs.
No, no, I've never used to have wings. Well, we had to create the boomerang because
We did.
it wasn't in the player's manual. It was pretty straightforward to create, but still, it was yeah.
And
Um,
thank you for that.
oh, of course. And then Josh asks of me, is it common for in the Lazar principalities for ships with small crews to leave them unattended when not in their home ports? Um, yes, I'm going to say that in general, uh, the various sea lords of the Lazar principalities that run these little ports, a if a crew can't come to their port, secure their ship and get off and go to the taverns, then I think a substantial chunk of the economy of a lot of these little ports just disappears.
Oh, right.
So I think that Sea Lords take the idea of stealing a ship from one of their ports deadly serious. Um, like the Lazar Principalities is somewhat lawless. Like there is an element of there's an element of bounded anarchy to this. Um, where there's a lot of lawlessness and it's fine to prey on merchant vessels up to a point, but there are certain lines that a sea lord is not going to let you cross. And I think it's not so much because the sea lord, in most cases, there are presumably some lawfully inclined sea lords, but not so much because the sea lord considers the theft of the ship wrong or unjust, but because the theft of the ship damages their reputation as the master of their port.
Yeah.
And so, if you are stealing ships from a sea lord's port, um, it's not a matter of who the ship actually belongs to. It's a matter that you have done insult to the sea lord of that port. So I think that ships are generally quite safe in ports. Crews maybe not. I mean, depending on where you are, you probably have plenty of possibility to get into a street fight or a bar fight or that sort of thing. But the ability to effectively park your ship seems like it would be a really important element of the social contract that exists in the Lazar principalities,
Yeah.
or else this kind of society is going to be really hard to maintain. So
Right.
that's my theory on that. In addition, it seems unlikely to me that in a world as that has as much low level magic as Eberron does, it seems unlikely to me that there's not some way to magically lock the wheel
Right.
of your ship. Um, so, I mean, Arcane
Yeah,
Lock is a
ship
first
jack.
level spell, I think. So, yeah, there's got to be something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think generally in the Laws of Principalities, it's like horse theft in the Old West. You know,
Right.
it's just something that is just not done if you don't want to be a pariah. So that would be that's my thought. Um, from a just purely game perspective, it also we talked with the I talked with the players about whether they wanted to have a crew on their ship of NPCs before this, and I talked to some other people about the ups and downs of that, and it was generally decided that it made the game most interesting and most focused for them to be the whole crew, to kind of treat it like Firefly or something like that, where magic is going to allow a smaller crew to manage a ship than would be possible in our world, in the same way that technology now allows a smaller crew to manage a ship than you could have 100 years ago. So that's kind of the game mechanic and storytelling reason behind that. But in world, I think it makes sense as well.
Absolutely. I think all of that makes sense.
So, and then a couple questions from Emily. Emily would like to know, how often do you think about what Nardali could have or would have done in a situation?
Upon reading this question, I suddenly felt very guilty because I recognized that I don't think about what gnarly would have done in a situation. And now I'm feeling bad for Nardily, this fictional character, but I'm going, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not thinking about you." But I think I'm so ugh, but I'm so curious about Sohaina, and I really like what I had said earlier. I just want to take huge bites out of her character so much more often than I am, that I'm really focused on her and who she is and how she would respond. I did have a I did? Yes, I did have a moment. I'm trying to think if it already happened, and I think it did, where I confused Sohaina and the other character that I'm currently playing for a
Mhm.
moment. But yeah, no, I'm very Sohaina oriented right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Means you've
Oh,
gotten into her.
yay.
And then lastly, and
Oh, yeah.
perhaps most difficultly, Emily inquires, Dane, Malcolm, or Svoboda?
Dane. It's just it's gotta be Dane. I mean, they're all phenomenal in every way, and I love all of them, but at the foundation is, of course, Dane.
Mhm.
And the Svoboda thing is a crush. It's just a crush. It's just a whoa.
Whereas Dane is love.
Yes,
Dane is true love.
exactly
Mhm.
so. I can, there's communication with Dane.
Mhm.
Svoboda will never even understand that Sohaina exists in that way. And it's just a starry eyed, chin in the hands, I'm so impressed with you thing, rather than the meat and bones of Dane and Malcolm.
Outstanding. And with that, that is all of our
Mhm.
questions for this week. Thank you all so much for these questions. This is always so much fun when we do this. If you'd like to submit questions, you can do that over on our Discord, which you can find links to in the description down below. New episodes of Blades and Banners come out on Mondays. We do a watch party on Monday nights in Mia's Discord, the
Yay.
Sandbox. Come join us. It's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And Ship's Log comes out on alternating Fridays on our YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for rolling with us.
Bye.